All right, American Hammers TV. We are live with Brooke Hendrix, Erin Simon, and Anna Moorhead, three of our West Ham players. These are our first current West Ham players we've ever had on the show.
Anna Moorhouse, Lee.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
Anna Moorhead.
I'm
sorry, I didn't want to put you under the bus,
No,
but
no, no,
I
no,
think
you're right. I knew I was
got to
gonna.
get the names right.
No, I knew I was gonna. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was. I don't know what I was. I'm gonna lie to you. I'm pretty fried at the moment. So,
I'm very sorry.
but I'm super. No, no, no. You're fine. I'm super glad to be here. I'm super glad to be here with all of you. As I was saying, you're the first current West Ham players we've had on the show, and you gave us so much joy this season with a fantastic first season in the Women's Premier League and the great FA Cup run. We've been fans of yours for a long time, and we're just glad you're here. Before we get started with all the questions, first of all, I should mention Justin is here with me, of course, from Chicago. Allie is here. Allie, the super fan of West Ham women's football, is here. But where she really is in Paris, in a hallway of a hotel at 3 o'clock in the morning, because she has a level of dedication that is way beyond what anybody should ever have for American Hammers TV. But she's here, and we really appreciate it. But before we get started, I wanted to mention, of course, Strava Craft Coffee, our wonderful sponsor. They send us coffee from Denver that's that Tim loves. And I'll tell you what, we have people ordering coffee from us now, or from Strava now through us. And they send us private messages on Twitter, like, this coffee's awesome. So they love it genuinely because they're telling us personally that they love it. So anyway, check out Strava Craft Coffee. That's they're the OG sponsor of American Hammers TV. We're thrilled to have them. Also, check out our website, AmericanHammersTV.us. I should make sure it's up and running. I think it still is.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
You guys hear me? You can?
But I can hear
you. My camera just went out. Hold on.
Okay. It's okay. No problem.
Can you guys see me now or no?
Yeah.
Good.
Hey, look
okay,
good.
Cool.
Look good. Yeah.
Nice.
Check out AmericanHammersTV.us. Go to the shop link, and you can buy American Hammers TV shirts for a couple more days through the Bonfire site that's linked there. We give 10% of our proceeds to Isla Caton and her fight against neuroblastoma. We give 10% to the DT38 Foundation and the fight against testicular cancer. So, and everything else we're going to try to use to make this show better, so we're not quite so fuzzy when we're talking to people, and we don't lag as much on the internet. And anyway, we're going to put it all back into the show because this is what we love. So anyway, Erin Simon, Anna Moorhouse, which I think we got it right this time. And Brooke, thank you so much, the three of you, for being here. I'm going to let Allie ask most of the questions because she knows you a lot better than I do.
I was not prepared for this.
You what?
I was not prepared for this. I was just going to add helpful comments.
In Europe, no. I have high expectations for you at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're on vacation in Paris. You have to understand. You have a grave responsibility here to be the spark plug for everything. But actually, what I wanted to start with, the first thing I was curious about, Erin in particular, years ago, a friend and I used to cover the Boston Breakers in the old, I think it was called WUSA back then. And I know that you played for Sky Blue in the National Women's Soccer League. And I'm just curious about what the sort of level of competition is between the league in the U.S. and the Premier League there in England. Generally speaking, when you talk about the men's game, it's obviously a massive step up to go anywhere in Europe. But I don't know if that's really the case with women's football because we have, sorry, Anna, we have the greatest women's footballers in the world in this country, and many of them play that league. So I'm just wondering, can you compare your experiences between the two?
Yeah, I've actually been asked this question quite a few times, but obviously the styles are different compared to American versus the English league. And I think next year with the relegation happening and Man United and Tottenham coming up, I think that's going to definitely increase the competitiveness of the league. So it's going to be really good to have them obviously come up into the league and up that. But I think it's just a difference. I mean, it's pretty competitive. Both leagues are very competitive. I think it's just the different styles that make them unique. America obviously is more athletic and more transitional, whereas the English league is more tactical, and it's equally as physical, both the leagues. I mean, I've had a few times where girls have gone studs up into me, and I think both of these people next to me also have had that happen to them various games. So the physicality is definitely there, but I think it's more cerebral and tactical in the English league compared to American, where it's more transitional and kind of athleticism. But I mean, it's still, there's a lot of tactics to the American league. That's just the differences that I found personally as a player.
And then Brooke, you played in Italy, correct?
Yeah, I did.
So is there also a difference like in between European countries too in terms of playing styles? Like Erin just said, differences between the American and English. Was there also a difference between the Italian and the English style?
Yeah, I'd say so. The Italian league is much more, they like to be really creative and not as physical, I guess you'd say. They're more, you have to be careful if you're defending over there. You can't just go in too hard because I won't say they go down easily, but they're more creative in their style, I guess you could say. So it's less physical and more about flair, and they're very, very passionate in both. So it's fun in all the European countries that I've been to. It's just, I think the English one has been the top one I've played in so far.
Okay, cool.
Good answer.
When I used to go to the Breakers games, and this is about 10 years ago, they always got good fan support. They'd get 4,000 or 5,000 fans per game. Unfortunately, they played in Harvard Stadium, which is an ancient stadium that holds like 50,000 people. It's really old. But they had great fans and very enthusiastic fans. And actually, financially, were always stable. I'm not really sure why the franchise ultimately went under. But I'm wondering, if you guys could compare maybe, and I know you played, Erin, you and Brooke played in college at Southern Miss and I think Syracuse. So I was wondering if you could compare like the fan experience here compared to in England, and you think of English fans as being maybe a little more sophisticated. They grew up with the game maybe more than Americans did, but we're probably more attuned to women's football here. So I don't know.
No.
I'm also sophisticated.
No.
No.
Cats are better, to be honest.
Yeah, they can get creative. Yeah,
The chants are more creative.
I think it's more like, I don't know about sophisticated, but like organized. Yeah, everyone knows what's going on, whereas Americans kind of show it more. From my experience, a lot of times there'd be like tailgates, and it's more about the party than it was about like learning from the game, and like, yeah, exactly. Like everyone cheered you on, but just because you were friends, not necessarily because they understood soccer. So it's more, yeah. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's
America always has.
It's more about the occasion rather than actually like supporting your team.
America's out for the party, basically.
Yeah.
Any excuse to have a party, we're in. Yeah.
And there were always tons of kids at the Breakers games. Lots and lots of little girls coming out to meet the players. Do you find the same thing in England? Are there like tons of girls who want to meet you and sort of look up to you?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, I'd say the percentage of kids that are there at the games is a lot higher than it would be at male games. Because I think we're a lot more accessible,
approachable,
approachable.
And we have like a signing at the end of the games, so all the little kids can come, like, say hi to us, basically.
Yeah.
They look forward to that part, and they come up and like, give me mine, or can I have your shirt? Can I have your shoes? Like, they ask for everything, and they're literally anything. I don't know. It's cute though, and then we have like different ball girls for each game, and we kind of have a chance to talk to them a little bit. It's nice.
That's cool. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, Justin, I know you had a couple of questions too. I'm still trying to tweet that we're live.
I got a bunch of questions for.
Yeah, why don't you jump in?
We won't have enough time probably. No, I was actually gonna ask Anna because I did some research on you guys, and I think you were in Everton and then Arsenal and then West Ham, or so, maybe I got that wrong.
There's a couple in between.
Okay.
I was a Everton in the reserve squad.
Okay.
To Durham, then Doncaster Bells, and then Arsenal.
Okay. But all in England.
Yes.
So you probably, out of you three, you definitely have the most experience with the English game. So I was actually curious to ask you how you thought, because I was speaking to Allie a bit, and she was saying how there's been a lot of changes in England women's football, like in the domestic leagues. It's becoming a little more popular. There are some teams getting promoted, as Erin mentioned. So I wanted to ask you, how has the English game changed? We talked about different styles between countries, and I'm sort of curious as to how it's changed, if at all, over the last, maybe 5 or so years.
Yeah, I think a lot of, well, you can see in like the media, a lot of teams are like folding or being relegated because they don't have the financial backing to be in the league, because the FA's obviously made it full time. But I think it's like, you can say it's a bad thing because teams have earned their place. Like Yeovil this year got relegated pretty much before they even like the end of the league, because they got deducted points. But you can say that it's not good for the game, but at the same time, you're making the game more sustainable by having the clubs that can keep putting money into the women's side of the game and to grow that side of the game.
Yeah, so sort of like a catch-22
Yeah.
type of thing.
So you've got like now, I don't even know how many teams. Is it 12 teams now?
Yeah.
It's 12 teams now that you can probably say, I mean, touch wood, but you can probably say that are going to be full-time and can sustain that full-time, and they can give more players the opportunity to be full-time professional footballers. So I think in the long run, it's going to be better for the game.
You guys I know the story with West Ham was you had a really successful season last season. You won a couple of trophies while you were in I think it was the Premier League South, kind of not the top division. And then the story was kind of that, like, West Ham, we sort of bought our way into the Women's Premier League. I don't know how much of that's true. I don't know how that works exactly, but did you hear that from other teams or other players? Was there ever any talk about, like, oh, you're only here because, the club put money into it? And was there any, like, blowback from that?
You could say that they bought their way into the league because basically they did. They had the money and they wanted to be a professional team in the women's football pyramid. But they're doing it in the right way. They're not just throwing a load of money at it, buying a lot of superstar players, and that's it. They're trying to build a good team. You can say that the players that were in the team last year, it sucks for them because most of them got dropped. Yeah. But again, it's for the sustainability of the game.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I just didn't know if there was a resentment from from other clubs. But you had a very successful first season, obviously, so it's not as if you were not deserving of being there. I mean, you've obviously proved how.
I think it's because it was offered to other clubs, right? It was the FA offered a chance for people to come into the first league to make it more competitive, and kind of gave clubs an opportunity to take a chance and put money in and see what they could do, which I think helped the whole league as a whole, because it got more interest, more players from outside, because all of us kind of came into West Ham from different places. So I think it brought more diversity into the league. I don't know. I think it helped the league as a whole rather than, so I don't think anyone saw it as people buying their way in necessarily, because I know it's going to make it better in the long run.
What were your feelings about the documentary on Jack Sullivan and Britain's youngest football boss and along those lines, what is he like? I mean, opinions on his dad are mixed. He seems very capable though, and he really seems to be doing a good job from what we can tell, from what I can tell. What was your experience like?
I think when we first met him, he was a little bit
intimate, shy.
Yeah, shy.
Reserved.
I think he felt just awkward.
Yeah.
We were all
How old is he?
He's the boss of older women.
Yeah.
Yeah, how old is he? How old is he? Isn't he 21 or 2?
I think
maybe turned 20.
I think he was 19 at the beginning and then maybe turned 20. We're not sure anyway.
But I think he really grew into position.
Yeah, he's really grown into it, and now you can tell that
he's more comfortable in what his job is and how he wants to do it, how he sees the club.
I mean, he's so passionate about it. You can tell that through the documentary and how much he works to try and make us better. And you can see just how passionate he is. I mean, in the documentary, he asked for the team for one of his birthdays. What kid asked that for his birthday?
14th birthday or something.
Yeah, so he's really going to put all of his efforts into us. So that's pretty cool to have someone so invested in us that's willing to ask for us for his birthday.
And as far as the documentary, I think it was
It was weird. I
It
would
was
say it. I didn't like it.
I mean-
because I don't like seeing myself on camera, and I sound weird. So
I think it would have been nice if they could have portrayed like our personalities a little bit more as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know it was about Jack, and I understand that. Like, I don't want it to be about me at all. But it's like we have a funny team, and I think people would have been
It wasn't
like
shown.
entertainment value could have been better as if you would have shown like the craziness of our team, because there's
Some
there's
characters.
some
Yeah.
characters, and like this documentary didn't show that. So it kind of made us seem a little boring when I watched it. Like, I felt a little bit like, wow.
And that's the best part of a team too. Like I played college basketball, and I don't miss like the suicides that I ran, or all the workouts. I miss the camaraderie. I miss the guys in the locker room, and I can even tell just after talking with you guys for 15 minutes, you guys seem super close, and obviously it's required to be super close if you're going to be successful like you guys were, getting all the way to the FA Cup final. So I'm sure the documentary would have been a lot better if I didn't see it. So I got to check it out. I'm sure it's good, but no, I mean, I definitely agree that camaraderie is always super important.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
How long?
The problem with that, though, is that Kate, the day it went out, the time it went out, with the stuff Kate does, you'd never get it on air.
Why is that? Why is that?
Oh, you know what Kate's like. You've seen some of the stuff she comes out with.
The time that it goes
Yeah,
out.
we might need to censor a few things for sure.
A lot of things.
Oh, not here. You don't. No, you can believe me. We've had Gary on here. You can say whatever you want. You get some of the people we've had on here, like would be illegal in like 14 states. So
Oh no. I don't know. I mean, yeah. They're, like you said, we have characters, so I don't know if the documentary
Show that.
could have shown some of the moments that we had.
Oh, I'm sure.
But other moments definitely could have put us in a better light, I think.
how long did it take you? Because I know a lot of you are new to the club. Because as you said, when you moved up to the to the Premiership, to the top division, a lot of new players came in. How long did it take you to kind of find an understanding both on and off the pitch and sort of bond? I mean, which seems to have happened.
Yeah, I think off the pitch it was really quick.
Yeah, off the pitch was actually
Like,
surprisingly quick.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us
it was hard.
lived
Yeah,
in a hotel for the first 2 weeks. 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we was changing hotels like every couple of days.
So like the lack of I don't know,
I don't know.
structure, I guess. I don't know. Well, I don't know what we're
We had
expecting.
to spend a lot of time together.
Yeah. And go through a lot of things together.
Uh,
Like we were like from no air conditioning to
it's
no
like-
food to I don't know. We had to mattress on the floor for a little bit. So like a lot of things happened while they were trying to still get West Ham together, which I understand. It's a new club. It's really hard to get all that together. So nothing wrong with it. It's just we had to come together a little bit quicker because we were like laughing through it basically. Because all this is during preseason. We don't know where we're living. We're sleeping on the floor, and then we're going to workouts every day as well. So it was like, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Because
Yeah.
I mean, we have a laugh about it now. It's funny. We enjoyed it, and we got really close through it. So off the field, I think that's how it really worked out. And then on the field, I think Matt made it clear from like day one what he expected of the team. So then everyone kind of
bought
knew
into that.
this is what I need to do.
And I don't think we saw the results that like we was working towards until like maybe November when we got that running, but we all knew that we trusted what Matt was doing, and that's why in the end we started getting those results and we got that run just before Christmas.
What I'm curious as to just something I've wondered about too. What is your situation there in London? I know the women's league in the U.S. I mean, it doesn't pay particularly well. I oddly enough have a friend whose daughter plays in the women's league in the U.S. and there's maximum salaries for the players, and they're fairly low. I mean, obviously, you guys aren't making, what Arnautovic is making or some of the male players, but are you having to take different like side jobs to get by, or is this can you be a full-time professional footballer, in the situation you're in and live in London, which is a very expensive city?
Well, I think we make enough to be comfortable. We're not gonna go out and rent a Lamborghini or anything, of course. But a lot of us choose club housing as well. So they provide an apartment for us. Of course, we have to live like with people, other teammates, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's pretty similar to college. And I mean, you make it work. I think you focus, like for us, I think it's a big step for us, even having a full-time professional contract as a woman. So I'm not going to say I wouldn't like more, but I definitely want to focus on what I do have rather than what the men have and in comparison, because we're much like further behind them. And I think it's a progress, and we're gonna get there one day. But right now, we kind of laugh about it honestly too, because what can you do? We'll ride in our bikes to the field, and then we see the Lamborghinis passing us and nice Audis, the Range Rovers. We're like, oh, we'll go to our parking lot over here, our little bike rack. It's okay, don't worry. But no, we laugh about it. It's funny. We do the same job, but one day.
But you're not having to work at Tesco's on the side or something.
No. I mean,
that's good.
So most of us have done that in the past. Yeah. We've had our side jobs, and now we've gotten to like full professionalism, I guess. And so you don't need a side job to make it, but if you want extra income, like saving, that kind of stuff, you can do it. Like, we have time to like coach on the side, maybe. Some girls have actual jobs on the side. Like Julie has, what is it, cryotherapy?
Cryotherapy.
She does that time now.
Yeah, that's getting super popular.
Yeah, so you can do it. It's definitely doable, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
I have a question for Erin and Brooke. Why did you guys choose to go to England? And I guess for all three of you, why West Ham? Was there something that drew you to the club, drew you to the country? What were the reasons? Because you guys all came from different areas. Just curious as to why you chose where you are today.
Well, so I was in Italy, and I was really happy there, to be honest. I really loved it, but my agent was really pushing me to kind of try to move up. And England has a very good reputation, very good league. Some of the best players in the world play here. And I was saying I'm up for a challenge. And Matt called me and was trying to, when the team was kind of coming together, and he told me his vision for the team and what he believed in and how he wanted to get players with the right character, the right attitude, and build a team rather than just get players and put them together, basically. He wanted to actually have a real team. And to be honest, I was a bit nervous because I had played in Scotland before. And I was like, no, I don't want to go back to that weather and all that. But London ended up being a lot better than Scotland. So yeah, I'm glad I went, and I really enjoyed it. And it turned out to be a great decision, honestly. That's me. Okay.
Yeah. How do you guys, what's the reception for you as American players over there? Because again, you look at the men's game, and Americans are always kind of struggling to prove that they belong, in Europe. I don't know. Is it the opposite for you? Like, you come over and they're like, oh, we've got Americans now, it's going to be better.
Yeah, I think Erin kind of said it. Americans don't really have the best reputation for soccer knowledge, I guess you could say, especially from the British.
They look at us as competitors and like a winning mentality, and that we're gonna like put our body on the line and like run through a wall pretty much. But they think that we really lack in the football knowledge, which I can agree to an extent. But I think they think a little less of us than we know, in my opinion.
Well, Anna, how accurate is that? And we'll put you on the spot.
You have to lie about it. We already know.
What do you think of the Yanks?
I mean, there is this perception that you do have the winning mentality, but the perception is you win games more on physicality than playing football. Like you play football, but it's a more physical game than a tactical game.
Like we just run you into the ground.
Yeah, basically. And they can't take throw-ins.
We're running.
Okay,
so.
the throw-in thing we gotta stop with.
What's the throw-in thing?
Not do throw-ins. I'm sorry.
One in the world. What?
Okay, with a lot of foul throws.
Hold on. So Americans can throw in? Is that what you're saying?
The one thing we would be able to.
That's really the most important.
It's not
aspect
of the game. That'd be the least important.
Well, yeah. You just asked me my opinion on American.
So the throw-ins is what sticks out to you?
No, honestly, yeah.
Okay.
Like every time you watch Americans play football, I'm like, oh, bro.
Okay, well, in America, we're taught that our feet on the ground is the most important part of the throw-in, not our arms and how far we go through and not go through. Like that's okay. That's all. All right,
You guys have talked about this before, haven't you?
a little bit, maybe.
Allie, you're awake at 3:30 in the morning in Paris. What do you have? Jump in here. I don't want to dominate the whole thing. What do you have for us?
So my biggest thing is because we've got two teams that have just been promoted in Manchester United and Tottenham, and I know we played Man United in the Continental Cup, and they are a very physical side. And I just wanted to know if you found that difference between maybe the lower table teams being more kicking seven bells out of each other than say Man City that may be a bit more technical. Do you have to change your game plan like that?
I think Man City are quite physical as well, though.
The
Like
problem with Man City, they're physical.
Man City are a team of giants. Like
That's true.
they are all around my height. Like every single one of them is like a team of giants. So you kind of look at them when you're walking out, and you're like, you know, you're gonna get a physical game out of them, and they're gonna play around you. They're gonna play around you too.
But yeah, I think you have to have different game plan for each one.
Yeah, we always have different. Matt always thinks of different ways to beat the teams. Like we don't really play one way every single game. Like Matt will tweak different things to like work on the disadvantages of that team. So every game plan will be slightly different.
And are you guys right? Because I know you mentioned Spurs are coming up. So one of the first things I thought about was like, ooh, a big rivalry. Do you guys also like despise Spurs as much as like the fans do? Like, is that a thing as well?
I think in England most people despise.
Oh, that's a good point.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know where that comes from, but West Ham definitely do not like Tottenham, and I think we'll see next season when we play them how much you don't like them transfer into the women's game.
I don't think it will, though.
I'm new to all this. We don't know the records.
I'll say it again, Ellie. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said that I don't think it will, though, because we don't like Chelsea very much either. And I was sat in the middle of Chelsea fans for the away game, and there wasn't any real issues, a bit of banter, but that was about it. I don't think it translates as well.
I got a bit of abuse at the Chelsea game, to be fair.
Really?
Did you really?
I don't know. What did they call me?
Oh, I remember. You can't say it.
You can say it.
Oh, yeah, I can't. I don't want to say it.
You don't have to say it if you don't want to say it.
It's a bad word.
Just say it was funny. I was laughing. I heard it and I was laughing.
I know. My mom might watch this. I can't swear.
Just say cool.
Well, you know what? This is actually this is a good opportunity because we like to do this to talk about our chat room. We have a lot of people in the chat room tonight. And we have somebody named Pamela Hendrix, maybe familiar. So it looks like Mama's watching, and we have John from Vegas. We have Gabe from Austin, and Wally who were on with us on Sunday. Gabe, who is a young guy, a high school kid in Austin, and Wally, who's mature. Wally says if you want a good episode of the documentary, have the women's team and the men's team switch living situations for a week.
Oh yes, I'm in.
I think that's a fantastic idea. I think that's great. My buddy Ken is on tonight. My good friend Ken, who lives up in New Hampshire, and it looks like Brad's here. I can't. You know what? I got glasses. I can't read the tiny type on my phone anymore. But anyway, huge number of people in the chat room tonight because everybody wants to hear from you and know what's going on. So Justin, let me go back to you. I know you had some more stuff. Do you have more questions on your list?
A lot. So I think I wanted to get more into the actual season that you guys had because it obviously was a very successful season. And Anna, you alluded to it a bit. You guys started off a bit rough and then had a nice run in towards the end of the year. I wanted to get all three of your opinions on at first, because I know what the highlight of the season was. I'm going to assume it was playing at Wembley, but I'm actually more interested in like the lows, like some of the low points. Probably you for Brooke, for you getting a broken nose and a concussion probably wasn't cool. And then just, I guess, wondering like there's always highs, there's always lows, wondering about the lows. And then I guess the second part of that question, wondering about when did you guys actually really believe that, hey, we can make the FA Cup final and make and possibly win some silverware?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think you nailed it. I had some of my lows. Yeah, it was obviously that little period where I got concussion, broken nose again.
Let me. And sorry to interrupt you. Was that your first ever concussion?
No.
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
At West Ham, yes.
At West Ham, yeah. Okay.
So then, yeah, having to get surgery on my nose twice in like 3 weeks was pretty rough. And then obviously later on in the season when I got the suspension from the Man United game, that was also a little bit of a low, I'd say. But I think as a team, there was like a period where they showed on the documentary where we're losing pretty consistently, I guess. And then,
it was pretty much, we won one game out of the first 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah, and then that was when it was really serious for us. It was like, we got to start winning games or we're going to get relegated. So it became real. It was like a slap in the face. And of course, another big slap in the face was that Man City game, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
That was a wake-up call for all of us that we needed, honestly. And then if you look at after that point, we never really got beat like that again. So I think it really did us well. Although it was a low, I think it served a purpose in our development as a team. And
I mean, I know Justin wanted to ask about this too. You guys played really well in the FA Cup final, and the scoreline seemed a little harsh.
Absolutely.
I mean, because you really, especially particularly in the first half. But I mean, and obviously Manchester City's kind of a more established team, bigger club, more money on the men's side and the women's side as well. How did you feel coming out of the game? I mean, did you have the sense of just being totally crushed, or were you able to say to yourselves, we really did pretty well? I mean, what was the prevailing feeling?
I think the most important thing that I took away from that was we'd been together less than a year and we made the FA Cup final. I think making the FA Cup final was like, so winning the semi-final was probably like us winning the final. Like,
yeah,
I know winning the final would have been huge, but like we've been together 9 months,
yeah,
and we made it to Wembley, the FA Cup final. So I think we probably were disappointed, but like to look through it and look back, I think we're all proud of what we did in the FA Cup last year.
I think we can hold our heads high knowing. I think honestly we gave everything we had that first half.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, I would like. I'll be honest. It was really really hard the first half.
Yeah.
I mean they just have they're stacked. Honestly, they have so many good players and they just come at you in waves and like.
I think they've got more players that are used to playing in front of that many people. Like if you look at our team, there's like
most of us, it was our first time.
Yeah, like Jilly's been to FA Cup finals and played before. Raf, Bex. I went there last year, but I didn't play. Like it's completely different being sat in the stand than to actually being on the pitch. The noise is just incredible. Like I'm 10 yards away from Brooke and she can't hear a word that I'm saying. And I'm screaming at her. But half the time you couldn't hear me, could you?
No, which was incredible. I loved it. The support was
it was unreal. But it's like it's different. Like you have to play a different way because you can't constantly communicate. Like you have to be checking your shoulders the whole time and play in a different way that some people maybe aren't used to.
And I feel like for me, honestly, part of that game, I held my head high as well after that because the amount of support that we got from that game was, I think, a win in our books too. It's our first year, and we probably had over half the fans.
Yeah, we had so many fans there. It was incredible.
To see that many people come out to support us was really humbling, and I think it was really, really cool. And
Well, if the Premier League had helped you by moving our game that was at the same time, I'm sure you would have gotten more fans. I mean,
yeah, probably so.
I know the club wanted to move. I think it was Southampton. I can't remember who it was. I have no memory, but yeah, I mean, if they'd helped you by moving the men's game, I think you'd have maybe gotten maybe thousands more people. So, I mean, does this? Anna, you've been, you're English. You've been around the English game more. But for any of you, was it kind of the biggest, level of fan support you've had in your careers?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
How many people were at the game?
43,000.
Oh, nice.
200 and something. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember watching, because we watched the Chicago West Ham crew watched. We went to the pub and watched the game, and I remember it was the lower bowl was. I mean,
Oh yeah, it was packed.
Completely full. Yeah,
And they had
it was
people
awesome.
up high for some
Yeah, they
reason.
had people right in the sky.
I don't know why there's
Top
no
tier.
idea.
Yeah, it was
Like all the way up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple of people up there.
Yeah, we.
Uh,
Huh.
yeah.
So, expectations for next season. I mean, they must be pretty high, no?
I think we need to look at it realistically, though.
Okay.
Like, it's only like I know we made
They had
the
a
FA
good run.
Cup like that's the last season, but we had a really good run in the draw of it. So I think our aim is always to win trophies and stuff like that. But I think we have to look at it realistically, and if we don't get to the FA Cup final again, I don't think it's
not a failure.
It's not a failure because we got the luck of the draw, and that's I suppose the magic of the cup, as they say.
Yeah.
The draw that we got, it was I don't think we could have got a better draw.
Do you have a goal for where you feel as though you should finish in the league? I think you finished 7th, if I'm not mistaken, past season, which again for your first season in the league, I think excellent. Are you? What would you like to see to sort of show progress? Are you going for top 6, 4? What's on your minds?
Well, I think.
Sorry. I think a couple of games last season, there was some where we should have got points out of, and we didn't, which would have seen us move up to maybe 4th or 5th. I think
that has to do a lot with experience as well. Just
Yeah.
knowing when you have to take those moments, you can't waste opportunities that we get, or we can't give away opportunities that we gave. So I think from both ends, attacking and defensively, hopefully we can grow from those moments. But also this year, there's 2 good clubs coming up that are going to invest money in it and that are going to be very competitive from the beginning. So I think next season could be very competitive across the whole league. So I think it's going to be hard to put a place on it necessarily. Obviously, we want to finish top half at least, just as any player's goal. But I think we can honestly do that. We just have to get our mind right and get ready for a competition every game, every week.
If you guys don't mind, I want to bring Allie back in and everybody in. We'll talk about the World Cup here in a minute. However, Brooke, your mother's asking you on the chat, what is with the creepy dolls in the background?
Oh, no. Erin, you explain this, please.
All right, this is a little bit of an explanation.
You're going to name drop here so hard.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to name drop because there's no other way to explain this without name dropping. So basically, I'm a mother for the next month to Christy Pierce Rampone's 2 girls because she's out in LA commentating for the World Cup. So I'm at her house watching her daughters, and this is her house.
Oh, okay.
I think that the dolls are like a family relic. So
they're there to stay.
They're there to stay, and they're our friends.
They're watching over us like this. They're our new fans.
They're new fans. So yeah, that's.
I think they're good protection because I think they'd spook anybody who happened into that kitchen.
Gonna hug you and stuff too.
Yeah, they look really cute and cuddly to me, so I think they're.
On the good side.
Yeah, I'm just. I'm trying to keep my job here.
So Allie, you've been in Paris, and I'm hoping the four of you, I can kind of, I'm sure Brooke and Anna and Erin, you guys have been watching the World Cup too. I have watched as much of it as I could from work, but it's a little bit hard to do. Maybe you guys could give us your take on on the game so far, and maybe some predictions. And so we know the U.S. will win. The only question is who's going to be the runner-up. So what do you guys think about that?
I don't think the USA will win because you've got a really poor back in the goalkeeper because Jill Ellis won't play the same formation and won't keep the same goalkeeper. You're missing Hope Solo. I think France is going to
certainly thinks we're missing her. I know that. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I've got this.
I mean, I've watched a few of the games. Obviously, there's been some pretty big upsets. Like I think the Italy-Australia game, that one comes to mind. I think that was an awesome win for Italy for it being their second time in the World Cup after a while. Or no, this is the first time
in like 30 years.
In like 30 years. So I mean, that's an awesome win for them. So congrats to them. And obviously, like the thrashing that the U.S. put on Thailand. I mean, felt bad for Thailand, but I mean, they're trying to make a statement. But I think, in my opinion, the top teams are going to be like the U.S., France, England, Germany. I think they all have a chance of, getting to those end stages. But I think the group stages, there's been some upsets. There's been some results that have, like we've predicted, have happened. But it's kind of cool to see those upsets happen, because anything can happen in the group stages. You never know. That's the beauty of the sport. But
Ali, have you been in touch with the West Ham players who were there with Cho or with our? I think we have 3 players. Are you?
Yeah, I spoke to Rossi because I'm going to the Scotland-Argentina game in a couple of weeks. So I've spoken to Rossi, and I'm hoping to get across country and to see the Canada-New Zealand game because then we've got Dre and Ria. I spoke to Ria at the friendly that England played just before we came out, so that'd be interesting.
Well, maybe you've been to. Actually, could you tell us? Maybe give us some of the games you've been to so far and what your impressions have been.
So last night I was at South Africa versus China, and that had a 20,000 attendance, which was pretty good. It was pretty insane. The Paris Stadium is pretty mental. Wasn't the greatest game, not gonna lie. As someone said, that will put the hardest of hardcore football fans to the test because it wasn't brilliant. But the atmosphere was good, and it was definitely enjoyable being there.
So that was Parc des Princes, right? That was where. Wait, everybody take a drink. That was where PSG plays. Is that right?
PSG here, funny enough.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. Everybody, the joke is that every episode on American Hammers TV, I mentioned PSG because I used to live in Paris, and I mentioned being from a particular state that I'm not going to name, but apparently there's a pretty healthy drinking game going on. So everybody take a swig because we're talking about PSG. But that's where they played the game, right? At Parc des Princes, is that right? Yeah, that stadium gets insanely loud. Believe it or not, I think.
Yes.
Anyway, so it's like enclosed. It's sort of the way it's enclosed. It's crazy loud. I don't know. So, Brooke and Erin and Anna, what have your, can you tell us about specific games you've seen so far, and you've been watching, and kind of what your impressions have been, and I don't know, maybe you and Ali could bounce some ideas off of each other on who's going to finish as runner-up to the U.S.
We've watched almost all of them, to be honest.
I think France looked good.
France looked really good.
Apart from that own goal.
Yeah, that own goal.
Interesting own goal.
I don't know. That's like my worst nightmare. That's
my worst nightmare too.
Australia Brazil game today was really good.
Yeah, that
was a really good game.
2-0 down to come back.
Yeah, it was a good.
But there was the VAR in that game was a bit.
I think the VAR in a lot of the games so far.
Yeah, I don't think it's working, to be honest. Like in that game especially, there was 2 penalties for Brazil, which were pretty similar, and one got given and one didn't get given, and it's just like, ooh, they're pretty much exactly the same thing, but you've given one and not given the other. So it's a bit.
Alex, did you see any of that? Were you up?
Yeah, no, bar in Paris watching that one, and I think VAR is very, I don't know what it's like for players, but for a fan, it's one of the most frustrating things that they've put in. It slows play down, you just get bored and you just want the decisions to hurry up, and they just don't. And there's also been a lot of inconsistency in the decisions, like, and I was saying, like, one was given, one wasn't, and there's been one which clearly wasn't a penalty, but as a penalty in the France-Norway game. So it's just fans aren't liking the VAR.
What do you guys just think of it as players? I'm curious about this. I mean, does it take some of the intensity out of the game? Does it make you more nervous? Does it make you think about what you're doing, before you do it? I mean, I don't know. Does it affect you at all?
As like defenders, all of us are kind of defenders right now.
I
It's
can't
like
do anything right now.
you can't, like,
The
our
new
hands are
rules.
like I don't know, like the handle situation. I don't know. You can't really. I don't know if you've ever tried to run with your hands behind your back.
It's
but
impossible.
It's very hard. You can't
If
go
you
into
can't-
tackles anymore.
If you can't kick through a ball, it's not gonna go anywhere. Like you literally can't defend.
The offsides thing today with the Brazil, like that.
Yeah.
I feel like Sam Kerr had I still affected the play.
Yeah.
As a defender, I would want to touch the ball too to even try anything, because she's behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't called because she wasn't directly touching that defender. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of skewed against defenders now,
But
because
she's affecting the ball, because there's no way that the defender that scored the own goal, there's no way that she can know that Sam Kerr is offside. She has to do something with the ball, because she can't. If Brooke let the ball go through, I'd be shooting at her, because like she should be clearing it.
yeah. I mean, it definitely could have been a better header. Let's be honest. Like, it really could have been.
If the attacker isn't there, then
She lets
the
it go.
defender
The
just
goalie
lets
gets
it go.
it.
The goalie gets it. End of story. But Sam Kerr's there. She's affecting the defender's decision making, so she's offside. But
I don't know. I just think it's a little bit harsh now, because everyone has to be like kind of walking on ice.
as a defender,
Yeah,
the attackers can just do whatever they want, basically.
It's
Just give them more of an advantage.
obviously we're a little bit salty about it because we're in the back, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder if I asked like the strikers on your team if they would have the same answer or a different answer.
They'd probably have a different answer.
they probably have a different answer.
Yeah.
Probably be like, I'm not offside because I'm nowhere near the ball, but they're affecting the play.
I think it's a good idea. I think the
The
general
concept
idea,
of
the
it.
concept of VAR makes sense, but it's like sometimes the little tiny things, and even with the offsides call, like you have to make a 30-yard run before they call it. Like that's tiring.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all noticed. Yeah, it's very hard to just keep running up and down, and then they're gonna call it anyway, and you're like, well, why did I run that for then if it's offside? So it's just, I don't know. I think it's a little weird, but
Yeah. Brooke, your mama says VAR sucks.
thanks, Mama. Go on back.
She also says all the teachers in Gulf Shores, Alabama say hey. So,
Oh gosh.
but yeah, she's,
Hey, they're having a little teacher vacation.
yeah, she's made her opinions on VAR very clear.
Sorry.
One thing I wonder about is, and this, for all three of you, but I think especially of Brooke and Erin here a little bit. We're a generation into women's football being a thing in the United States. You know, the World Cup win in 1999 was kind of the coming out party in a lot of ways for women's football in this country. Very memorable moment. You all were fairly young when that happened, I'm guessing. I was not, but did you have heroes and players that you looked up to when you were growing up?
Yeah, I looked up to Christy Pierce. I mean, I live 20 minutes away from her, so just being, that small town Jersey girl growing up, she was a basketball player at Monmouth University before she was a soccer player. So for her to go up through the ranks and then win the '99 World Cup, it was just kind of a moment where it's real for a little girl. Like, oh my gosh, she's from 20 minutes away from me. Like, I could do that too, type of thing. Like, she's so cool. So she's definitely my role model. It's pretty cool that I actually got to play with her. That was probably one of the highlights of my career. I mean, besides Wembley, that was pretty cool, but probably one of the highlights of my career was playing next to her at Sky Blue as a center back, fullback pair, because I learned an incredible amount of soccer knowledge from her, and she's just such a brilliant player. So I think that was probably one of the highlights of my career, is becoming friends with her being my mentor, and she was my role model as a kid. So to be able to do that is unreal.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I don't know, Anna. Anna, when you were when you were a kid, did you idolize women footballers in England, or were you more likely to watch the men because they got more exposure, or how did it work for you?
I think I started off liking more of the men, but as I got older, so like maybe when I was like, I don't know, maybe like 14, 15, I then started realizing that, I don't know, it's gonna sound weird, but like other girls and women played football, if that makes sense. Like it was like there was an actual league and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and like they had an England team. I think that was when I really started realizing that that was a thing. So I think Rachel Brown was in goal, so I really liked her, and then KB took over, and I obviously get to play against KB, which is pretty cool.
It's cool you get to play against your heroes, right? I mean, because I don't think that necessarily happens for a lot of athletes, but it's been an opportunity that you guys seem to have had, or with or against either one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool when you like you're in the tunnel before the game and you just stood next to someone that you used to look up to. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like even now after playing a season in England, I think it's cool to watch the World Cup and be like, I was playing against her like a couple months ago, and it's just really, I don't know, it's neat because I 3 years ago I was working at a Subway, trying to get by, and then now I don't know, playing with all these players. It's really, really cool.
How well do you think? One thing I'm curious about, the college system, I don't think really works very well for men in the U.S. The club development through the club system seems like a much better system for the male players. But women's college soccer is probably still the biggest development channel in the U.S. for professional players. How well do you think? I know you guys played Syracuse, Southern Miss. How well do you think the college system prepared you, or would you have been better off coming to Europe when you were, like 15 and getting into an academy? I know you love the old school. I'm not saying be disloyal. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I think.
Are you looking at it from just a pure football perspective?
I mean, kind of a holistic perspective. Like we already have, a fantastic, obviously, set of women's footballers here in the U.S. Is the college system like a sustainable way of keeping that going, or are we going to need to have more of an academy system, like through clubs, like what we should be trying to do with the male players?
I mean, I like the college system up until it comes to the draft. I don't think the draft works very well because not everyone gets represented equally necessarily. And there's so many different colleges in America that it's very hard to get in that way. I don't know. I think it gives a lot of opportunity for people that might not get an education otherwise, because obviously soccer ends for everyone eventually. So right. I think getting a degree is a wise decision. So I think going into academy and then straight into a professional team, it kind of limits your possibilities for work after football's over. So I do like the college system in that way. But as far as if you're strictly looking football, I think you'll develop more rapidly and in a more direct way if you go to an academy as a young kid.
How does our West Ham Women's Academy look? I mean, do you have any visibility into that, or do you train with those players? And I mean, do you know what the situation is there?
I'm not sure, but I think they only started when we started.
Okay.
Like, they have had youth teams in the past, but I think their actual academy only kind of started when we started. So I think it's kind of like a work in progress. So no one's actually come up to train with us yet, I don't think. But I think there's a couple of girls in the system that may be being looked at by the coaching staff to possibly come in and train with us.
We got to see a little bit of it. We were taking a coaching course this past year, and they came out to be like our practice players, basically. Yeah. So we got to see a few of them that way.
A few of them are good.
A few of them very good. I think there's definitely potential there, And I hope this year that now that we've been established this first year, that we'll get more of a chance to interact with them and maybe even help them if possible.
Who are your? We've had the West Ham women's team this past season. You know, obviously some really well known and experienced players came in. Who'd you guys? It's relatively young players. Who did you look up to on your team as sort of role models and mentors? If anybody, I don't know.
Personally, I've looked up to Julie a lot this past year. I've learned so much from her. She's been playing center back since she was like 11, I think, or something. So she knows the ins and outs. And I've just started playing center back 3 years ago. So I'm still learning, and I think she's a very good leader, and she's done so much with her career so far. And I know she's only like a couple years older than me, but I still look up to her in the sense of her experience is way past my years in the position I'm in currently.
But
And she's an England international, right?
Jilly?
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah.
She was.
Oh, she was. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, Allie.
No.
No, I was just asking, but do you understand Jilly? Because even as a British person, I have trouble sometimes.
Most of the time, yes. I think she might tone it down for
I
me.
think she tones it down.
She's very patient with me. I'll say that.
And I'm wondering, did you have a football club you supported growing up?
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh.
Can you tell us?
Oh yes. It was Manchester United.
Well, all right. I mean, you're not alone. The question now is, do you still look out for their results, or are you West Ham till you die now?
I do still look out for the results, but I do love West Ham.
And then too.
Yes.
Wow.
Really? Yes.
Are there a lot of? Let me ask you this: are there a lot of West Ham fans now in Alabama and New Jersey who might not have known about the club before?
I'd say so. My parents, my family, most of them. It's most my family. I'm from a small town as well, so everyone's kind of jumped on board, and it's been really wonderful. Where I'm from, they've really supported me in all of this, and now support West Ham as well.
Did you guys, when you were in college, you ever play against TCU?
TCU? No, we never did.
Oh, that's a
Did
shame.
you go there?
I went there, yeah.
Okay.
But so many years ago. But I had to mention it for the drinking game, because all the guys in the chat room were waiting for you to mention that for at least one time. Justin, Allie, what do you guys have? We got a few more minutes. If y'all will spend a few more minutes with us, what else do you guys have? I know, Justin, I've taken way too much of your time, but what else do you want to ask?
No, it's okay. Allie, go ahead. I know you probably have a bunch of questions. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, because we briefly touched on it, and I know that Brooke, your mum's listening, and I've actually had the pleasure of watching a couple of matches with all of your families. I was at Liverpool with Anna's, I was at Reading with Brooks, and I was at the FA Cup with Erin's. And I was wondering how important family connection is, and how their support has affected, especially you moving across the country and the globe.
What was the question?
How is your family?
Just how family support affect you moving and things like that, and how important that is.
I mean, I think it's vital to my success, to be honest, because they're still supporting me in many different ways where I wouldn't be able to, follow my dreams like this or be able to do this without my parents supporting me through it all. So to be able for them to help me, achieve these dreams, like I said, I wouldn't be able to go through it, and to have them be able to fly out for the weekend at Wembley and come watch me play, I think that was almost as important as getting there, as them coming to see this momentous moment in my career. And I think that meant more to me more than anything, was to be able to hug my mom, my dad, and my Aunt Judy after the game. I don't think I saw my brother. You probably saw him during the game. He got a little wild. So And for him to come, and my best friend and my uncle and a couple of my other friends were able to come, that just meant more to me than anything, to have their support and, them living this dream out with me. So.
When do your fixtures come out? You know,
That's a very good question that we don't know the answer to.
because Scott in Denver is on the chat room with us, and he's a huge West Ham fan. He's headed over in September, I think, and he's going to go to a couple of the men's games. He just wanted to go to one of your games, or maybe two of your games too. So anyway, just curious if you guys knew that, but I guess we'll find out eventually, right?
They'll post it on our West Ham women's page for sure. I don't know when, but
It'll probably be July or August, maybe.
we'll look on there.
Yeah,
Share it out.
yeah.
Allie, it's 4:03 in the morning. And I know in Paris it's June, so the sun is probably up by now. It only goes down for about 3 or 4 hours a night. What else do you want to ask since we've dragged you out of your bed for an hour?
It's a cheeky question, but I've asked a couple of players. Do you think I'm insane doing a 440-mile round trip for every home game?
Yes.
Yes,
But we love
but
it.
in a good way. We love it.
That's what you were doing?
Yeah,
she was doing?
she lives in Manchester.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, I
my
live in
gosh, I had no
Manchester.
idea.
Erin, how did you not know
Erin,
that?
where have you been?
I'm really bad at this stuff. I'm sorry. I'm like oblivious to mostly everything. So wow. Oh my God, you go, girl. Holy cow.
I'll send
Well
you the vlog,
done.
Erin.
How insane is that though?
That's insane.
In a very good way. We love it.
We
I'm
love
gonna
it.
get you
All
like-
of us love it.
We should make her like a CD or something.
Oh, road trips would be
Yeah, road trip
Mixtape.
CD.
Mixtape.
Like a West Ham mixtape
Yeah.
made
Wait,
specially
like a playlist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each of us pick a song for you.
Oh yes, that's
Yeah.
happening.
Didn't people
I
make
think
CDs
mostly
in
Whitney
like
Houston.
1993?
Whitney
Just
Houston,
Glenn.
And
Just
just
Glenn.
Glenn. Oh, the worst.
Yeah, Allie, what? Why? I mean, it's just because you love it that much. That's why you do 440 miles
Absolutely.
trip.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't do it if I didn't.
Do you have like friends who come with you sometimes, or is it mostly a solo effort?
My mother will come with me occasionally, but there are very few West Ham fans in Manchester, so it is
That
mainly
is true.
myself.
It's
That's fair.
Yeah, she can carpool.
All right.
Games.
I think on the spot, you got to pick one team. Who wins the Women's World Cup?
USA.
What, sorry?
USA. USA.
USA. USA.
Okay, Anna, what do you think?
England.
Oh, now Tim wants to know. Tim wants
Coming
to know.
home.
Tim wants to know. So who would have won if did you guys ever play each other when you were at Syracuse and Southern Miss? Did you ever face each other in college?
No.
Because it probably would have to be an out of conference game, obviously, so they're a long way apart. Who do you think would have won between the two? Between the Orange and the Golden Eagles? For this colorful matchup.
Syracuse.
Probably Syracuse, if we're being honest. I love Southern Miss. We were good. Don't anyone I don't know. But they're in ACC, right?
Yeah.
Which is a very, very good league for or not league. Wow, what's it called now?
Conference.
Conference, yep, that's what it is. Conference for soccer, women's soccer. And we were a work in progress at the time.
I think
Southern
we would
Miss.
have given a battle at least.
Oh, we would have given you a battle. It wasn't gonna be easy, Aaron.
Yeah, my buddy Ken says we should start a GoFundMe page for your travel, Allie. I think that's a good idea.
That would be really helpful.
And Liam, who's on the chat, says he used to come from Cornwall for the games. That's a long way too. I've actually been to Cornwall, so that is the ancestral home of my people.
Does he want a playlist too?
Well, maybe you should make him a playlist. Yeah.
We'll make a
on
playlist
Spotify.
and then we'll put it at the game and then we'll just give it a
We can just
road
make it on
tripping
Spotify.
to
I'll
I'll
Russia.
make it
Yeah.
public and just put West
All right,
Ham.
well, let me do one more question. This one's from the gallery here. This is Michael who's asking best player you've played with or against.
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see.
I don't think I could pick one that I've played against.
Put against.
I've played against a lot.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, can I name a couple?
Oh, sure, of course, as many as you want. And did any of them play? And Gabe has to know. He has to know. He won't leave me alone. Did any of them play for the University of Texas?
No.
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 No one likes
Okay,
This.
That's into that game. That's into that. No, that's all. Yeah. So yeah, maybe 2 or 3. Who are the best you've played against or with in your time?
I mean, from a defender's perspective, probably the 2 hardest I've played against were either Marta or Tobin Heath.
Oh
You
yeah.
played against Marta?
Oh, Marta. I would listen. I
Whoa.
watched her shred the breakers, man. She was an amazing player. I mean, I saw her play live 3 or 4 times and semi-interviewed her once, like through a Portuguese translator. She was incredible. Yeah, absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, she was very hard to defend. So very big challenge to defend her, but it was fun playing against her. It's fun playing against those type of players because you learn so much, and
through getting roasted.
getting roasted, you learn what not to do. It's like so I'd probably say that. But coolest player I've played with, I mean, would probably say Christy.
You're gonna drop that name in there one more time.
Sorry, guys. Whatever. Oh, and I played with Sam Kerr, so I think that was pretty cool as well. Sam's an awesome human, and she's an incredible forward. So.
Yeah, she's on the Red Stars, isn't she?
Yeah. It was when she was on Sky Blue. We were on Sky Blue together, but now she's on the Red Stars.
Oh, okay.
She's also, I mean, I got to defend her in training, and she's ridiculously hard to defend as well. So, yeah, just an incredible player.
Which one's more fun? Playing in the U.S. or playing in England?
Ooh, which one's more fun? Oh my word.
Yeah, just fun. Just like.
Don't look at me like that. I don't know. I honestly, I really like playing in both because they were just so different and diverse, and I've learned so many different things from each league. I honestly don't think I can choose just one because I've really enjoyed my time in both the leagues. I'm sorry, that's probably not the answer you want to hear.
No, it's fine. It's totally normal.
I'm sitting very friendly with us. Yeah. Oh yeah. I plan on it. I'll take it all in. Okay.
So we promised only to hold you guys for an hour, and it's been an hour and 10 minutes. Justin, Allie, anything else you want to ask before we sign off?
No, nothing else for me. Just wanted to thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day. Really appreciate it, and good luck next season. We'll be following you guys from Chicago.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you,
and thanks for having us. Honestly,
yes.
It's been nice.
Yeah,
I just wanted to tell you that you guys have brought us so much joy. I enjoy. We love the FA Cup run. We love the season you had. You brought us so much joy this season, and being a West Ham supporter is never easy, as you probably realized. But I just love the way you play. I love your spirit. I love what you've achieved in such a short amount of time. And you're the first current West Ham players to come on our show, and I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. So yeah, we just hope you'll come and do it again sometime. And if we can get over, if I can get over to England, we'll definitely see a game. And maybe we could we could hang out. I'll bring my nieces who play soccer and would love to meet some professional players. So anyway, really seriously, thank you. And Allie, Justin, obviously, always glad to have you here as we do on Thursdays. Allie, you're a hero. I don't even know what else to say.
Thanks,
you're my hero, and I know that you're a hero to Anna and Brooke and Erin because you're a tremendous super fan. But all of you were wonderful and fantastic. And if you guys hang on just a minute, we're going to stop the show and then we'll talk about a couple of very quick things. But I wanted to thank you again for coming on. Super, super wonderful to have you here. Super excited about it. Great interview. And all I have to say really is come on, you Irons.
Go on, you Irons.